All right. It's a new year, new me, another visit to Comic-Con.
Sounds like the same you, but all right.
It's actually the same, but
it's
a new year, so it's fun.
And you went with our other sister, Mary.
Woo!
Hi, Mary. I love you.
Yes, God, I love Comic-Con so much. New York City Comic-Con, y'all. If you're a new listener because you found a random business card in a obscure location at New York City Comic-Con, you said, I'm going to start listening. Hey, welcome.
Welcome.
that was me leaving all the cards all around any spot I could. They didn't have like a crazy amount of panels, which would be like where there's some famous person or people that sit on a stage and talk about whatever they are affiliated with. We only went to 2 of those.
Okay.
There really weren't like other ones that we were interested in. First one was The Simpsons.
Oh.
The creator of The Simpsons.
The time traveler, Matt
Groening.
Groening, okay.
Yeah.
He's a time traveler, right?
Why?
You know that theory, right?
Wait. Oh, because The Simpsons predicts everything that happens?
Yeah, so he's like a time traveler. Did you get that vibe?
I mean, he was cool. I could actually see that because he kind of looked like he was picked out of the 60s. Like, you're like, oh, you were like definitely a hippie. Hank Azaria was there. Who does like a lot of the voices on the show. He was the only actor from the show. And then they had there's 3 writers. I would love to tell you their names, Bridge, but here's the problem with this panel. There was a man who was the moderator. You know, kind of like the announcer leading the charge, if you will. His first words out of his mouth, hello, I'm Bluty Blue. I'm a podcast host. And I was like, nope. This is a white man with a podcast? Nope. He's like, I also work for Blue Blue Magazine. And I was like, And he sucked. He was like he didn't say anyone's names. So me and Mary are like, who's that person? There's a female writer. Who's that? Like, please. And he just like had the worst questions, and he kept asking Hank Azaria about this one character called Comic Book Man or Guy or whatever from the show. And there were like 4 questions about that.
Wow.
I was literally like, somebody should have paid me. Like, are you kidding? I could have came up with better things.
I honestly, if you pulled a Kanye West and got up there, stole the mic and said, I have a podcast, sisters who've seen it, and I want to know who this writer is. I'm going to let you finish, but I want to know who this writer is. Thank you, and good night.
Excuse me, ma'am. Thank you.
Beyonce. I gotta go.
We ended up leaving early, not because of the podcast, man. Don't worry. It was because the next panel we were going to was the one I really was excited for. Mike Flanagan, who you probably don't know who he is, Bridget, because he makes a lot of horror content that you don't watch. He made The Haunting of Hill House, Midnight Mass, Bly Manor, The Fall of the House of Usher. He did Dr. Sleep, the movie, Gerald's Game. He does like Stephen King adaptations.
Nothing.
And then he does original.
None of those.
Okay, so he was doing a panel, and he uses a lot of the same actors, and his now wife is like an actress that he uses in a lot of his works. And she's awesome. Her name's Kate Siegel. She was cool. Carla Gugino is in a lot of stuff. She was there. And then Raul Coley was also an actor in a lot of stuff. Anyway, they were all there. And it was Mary and I did not get seats, but we got good standing spots. We were like basically front and center, right behind where the seats ended. And oh my God, it was the best. And that did also have a moderator who also was a male podcast host. And I got sweaty, but he did a better job. He like had more of a personality. He wasn't like an AI computer with skin on. And it was fucking cool. And basically, Mike Flanagan, Bridge, Mary, and I yelled out your name at one point because Mike Flanagan is doing I guess, adaptation of The Exorcist. And I don't know if it's going to be a movie or a TV show. But from this, the moderator was like, you know, guys, when we're all kids, we all see movies we shouldn't see when we're way too young. And it really messes us up. Share with me. Like, what was that for you guys? So they're all going around. And then I think Mike Flanagan had said, like, yeah, it was like The Exorcist for me. And then Mary and I were like, Bridget! we like looked at each other, we're like, yeah, it's Bridget, oh no.
It was me.
It was me, it was you.
I like him.
Yeah, they were cool. I was like, oh, these are people I want to hang out with. You guys are like super cool and like down to earth. And yeah, so that was the best probably part of the day.
Wow.
And then, I mean, it's just fun to like walk around. There's like crazy costumes. I'm leaving business cards left and right. And Bridget, I did buy some things. And well, I did two things in particular. There's some other little things I bought. I didn't send you pictures of, but I did send you pictures of two. And I want you to look at those.
Oh, right now.
Right now on the pod.
This is it.
Here it comes. Can you describe what you're looking at, please, for the listeners?
I'm looking at a book that says, and it's The Power to Catch 'Em All. The Psychology of Pokemon. Wow. If that is not meant for you in a crazy, personalized way with a picture of Ash and Pokemon.
All right, wait.
I'm going to do the other one.
I want to pause there for one moment because, Bridget, you'd be so proud of me. I did some networking at this booth.
Amazing!
I did. And I was like, oh, psychology. They had like it was like the psychology of Legend of Zelda and Dungeons and Dragons. And I was like, that's silly. And then I saw the Pokemon one and I was like, oh, damn, that's calling
You're
me.
like, but is it?
And this one guy at the booth was like, yeah, the author is here. He'll sign it for you for free. I was like, who the fuck's the author? He's like, well, actually, a bunch of different people wrote chapters, but he's the editor. So like, he's right there. And I was like, okay, sure. So then like, whatever. I went and I had to stand online and there was like a little wheel you could spin to like win something for free. So Mary wanted to do that. So I'm like, okay, we'll stand on the line and then keep the registers down there and go team. As we're standing there, this woman is chit-chatting with someone and she's like, blah, blah, blah. I'm a school psychologist. And I snapped my head right around and interrupted their conversation. And I was like, I'm also a school psychologist. She was like, oh my God. And she like worked for the booth, like the company.
Oh, fun.
It was called Geek Therapeutics. And they're all about like,
this is you.
It's all like mental healthy type things and educators.
Is this you?
And,
was this
and
meant for
like,
you?
Okay. I literally was like, excuse me, you work. Like, is this a job? I was like, you get paid for this? She's like, yeah, I made these.
I get
like,
paid for this?
She's like, look at this like card game I made that's about like coping skills. And I was like, ah! And then she was like, and we do some APA accredited like trainings and you could be like a therapist with this. And I was like, I'm sorry, you need to explain more. Like, what's happening?
Let's set up a Zoom, a virtual coffee.
I did say to her, because we chit-chatted a bit more, and I was like, is that weird? Can I get your like info? Can we like talk more? She's like, oh,
I love this.
So I will be emailing you, ma'am. Be on the lookout.
She's definitely listening.
And for all we know, then the sequel to the Psychology of Pokemon might be written by me. Okay.
God,
you ready?
I would buy every copy.
Thanks, Bridge.
Wait, I didn't even look at the second picture.
Okay, look at the second one. Oh, God.
Is this opening at least 40 minutes, or how are we doing? Okay.
Here we go. Okay. I knew you'd love that one. I had to get both.
Wow.
You gotta get both.
Saint Mulder and Saint Scully. These are, listeners, what I'm looking at is giant kind of, I don't want to say like religious candles, I guess.
I mean, I think they're like a mock of religious
candles.
Of, like, religious
and
candles.
It's both Mulder and Scully looking like saints with their FBI badges, and it's just so funny. I love this so hard. Wow, those are both great.
I literally had to get both.
Comic-Con delivered.
I mean, it was a great day.
Sisters who've seen it. We are the sisters who've seen it. Sisters, shooby-dooby-doo-wop, sisters, shooby-dooby-doo-wop, sisters, sisters who've seen it.
Hello,
listener.
Hello. Oh, you sound like you're in the dark corner of the room.
I am Doc. I don't know. They had normal voices, but it's about vampires and husky.
Whee! Yes, welcome back, listeners. We're still in spoopy month. We're here with the spoops. Not scares, right?
No, loved it.
Yeah,
loved it. Right up my alley.
Scares. Yeah, this is a good one for you.
Yes.
All right, well, let me introduce ourselves because we're not vampires.
No.
And I don't think we're going to interview any.
No.
But you never know.
I mean, we don't judge if you are and you're far enough away not to kill us. We're here for it.
Yeah, we could do a virtual interview only on the podcast, though. Click like, subscribe. Yeah, any vampires, let us know. All right, but we are the Sisters Who Seen It podcast, where two sisters who are not movie critics look back on some of our favorites throughout the years through a psychological, ethical, and familial lens. I'm Katie.
I'm Bridget.
And, okay, this is, I feel like I have to give context because it's an obscure quote. This was Kirsten Dunst's character saying this to Tom Cruise. Even though you're the father of lies! And I laughed really hard at that line because it was so drama. What's the movie this week, Bridge?
It is 1994. Close, but not the best year for movies.
No.
Interview with the Vampire.
Yeah.
Starring Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt, Kirsten Dunst, Christian Slater, Antonio Banderas, Stephen Rea, all sorts of people. That's mainly the people, though, that you should get up. And I read that River Phoenix was supposed to be Christian Slater's role, but died right before filming, and so Christian Slater donated all of the money he made to River Phoenix's charities.
Oh my god.
Isn't that
sad?
Kind of like dark and sad.
Yeah.
I am intrigued to talk about this because I don't know, Kate, you just mentioned that everyone in Hollywood is a vampire, and I just believe that actors play themselves, and I feel like there's a lot of stuff here, and we're almost 30 years later. No, we are 30 years later.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, it was right in front of our faces. You know, it's like, guys, I just feel like maybe we all need to go back and watch this, you know?
Tom Cruise is like, this is actually my biography about my life. So don't ask questions. Well, it is your synopsis because I did Scooby-Doo, God help us.
Oh, God. Okay.
You can do it.
Okay, I didn't pay for this movie.
It only spans over hundreds of years, Bridget. It's totally easy.
I didn't pay for this movie. I was really proud of that.
Thank God. Oh, it was on HBO, right?
Yes, and the one sentence is, a vampire relates to the story of his creation in 18th century Louisiana to an interviewer, based on the novel by Anne Rice.
Yeah, I do appreciate how Anne Rice does get shouted out anytime this movie's talked about. Like, everyone's like, it's Anne Rice's! Don't get it twisted. I'm like, did Anne have a chokehold on
She
Hollywood
definitely did.
About this?
She absolutely
go, girl. Good for you.
Okay. This shit is insane. It was a 2 hour and 3 minute movie. I'm so sorry if you could barely deal with it, but I was engaged the whole time.
No, I was into it.
Okay. So we have characters' names I will be screwing up, okay?
Me too.
We're starting 1710, okay? And we follow Brad Pitt's character, who is Louis, and he is a plantation owner of a ton of slaves and just sad because he lost his wife and unborn child when she was trying to give birth. So he's depressed, doesn't care, wants to die. And then creepy Tom Cruise comes around the corner, and his name is Lestat.
Lestat.
He's a
predator.
Okay. He
like
is
stat.
Stat.
But like French.
But French. So Lestat. So
So
he shows up and is like, yo, I'm a vampire, and I'm gonna kill you. But honestly, you wanna you're kind of cute. Like, you wanna be blood brothers? Like, for life? They totally fucked, right? They definitely had sex. Yeah.
I'm like, show the screen.
Super gay undertones. So then Brad Pitt's like, yeah, sure, I don't want to die. Like, he gave him a choice. I was like, that was not a choice. Okay. Mm-mm. That was definitely not a choice. But he's like, sure, I'll be a vampire, and becomes a vampire. And then there is this endless dichotomy between the two of them where Tom Cruise is this like ruthless killer who's like murders people, doesn't think about it, has no moral like issues with it, whatever. But then Brad Pitt is like constantly struggling with murdering people. So he tries to like feed off of rats and random things so he doesn't have to feel like he's murdering people, and he never wants to turn anyone into a vampire, and he's so mad that he's a vampire, and he's like, this is the worst thing in the world that could happen to me, and I'm 200 years old and I hate my life.
A lot of ethics.
A ton of ethics and a ton of like, God, I can't wait to talk to you about it, because I was like, the psychology, the confusion, I just loved it.
We'll have to write a book about it.
It got really bad because we're talking the plague years, we're talking the Black Plague years, and so like, honestly, even finding rats and pigeons and all this crazy shit just got hard. So Brad Pitt was, which we gotta talk. We'll get into it, but like he couldn't take it anymore, so he had to kill someone, and so he ended up killing Kirsten Dunst. But he wanted to actually just like kill her. But then Tom Cruise is like, "Hey, you seem sad, my boo. And since we can't make babies, let's just adopt a little girl vampire, since we're in love, obviously, but we won't talk about it because it's 1994. And let's turn her into a vampire, and she'll be our little girl forever." And they do that, and I hate that, because they take her away from literally her, like, corpse-like mother that is dead in front of her, and somehow she doesn't have the plague, but her mom had the plague, but she's clutching her mom. Okay, anywho.
Yeah.
So, she's fine, and then she is not like Brad Pitt, where she has no moral issues. She is like a kid, so she's very impulsive and wants to murder people all the time. And that was actually a really funny part of the movie, where she kept, like, murdering people. And so then they live in this life, but she gets to the same point as Brad Pitt does, which is, hey, I'm never gonna grow up, so I'm just gonna be a 12-year-old forever? Like, you guys suck. But my brain is like a 30-year-old, like, this is awful. Or not a 30-year-old, she's probably like a 50-year-old. Like, she's like, this is awful.
300-year-old,
Yeah, 300, whatever. This is awful. And so she's like, you know what, Brad Pitt? I think you're kind of cool, but like, this Tom Cruise, we gotta get rid of him. And so they take him out, okay? And
I mean, she's like the leader of taking Tom Cruise out. And
such
I'm like,
a baddie. She like gets him. He doesn't even know it. And, you know, student becomes the teacher type thing.
It's a heist.
It's a heist. And then we think he's dead. And then we go on this quest to find, like, where are vampires? And you're thinking, well, this could be a whole other movie, part 2, but this is still the same movie. So now we're looking for all the vampires, and we run into Antonio Banderas. And all the vampires are, like, out and about their vampiriness with a play, but then people watching it are like, troope. This is fun and silly. How realistic. But they literally murder someone on stage. And then, because every vampire has different skills, they kind of hear whispers that, wait, you're telling me this little girl B killed a vampire? That's vampire code. We can't do that. So now we gotta kill her. But then Brad Pitt's like, that's my girl, so what are you doing? And then they're like, we don't care. And then Antonio Banderas is like, but I also have a crush on you, Brad Pitt, because,
oh my God,
you know, I want to have sex with you too.
Wow.
And since Lestat's out of the picture, aka Tom Cruise, let's get this shit on the road. They kill Kirsten Dunst, and that becomes drama. We'll get into it. Brad Pitt comes back, burns it all down like Uma Thurman and Kill Bill.
Yeah.
Literally. And then Antonio Banderas is like, let's run away together, lover. And then, somehow, this entire time, Brad Pitt is sitting down with Christian Slater telling his story. And we think, after it ends, but it doesn't, because Tom Cruise shows up on the fucking San Francisco Bridge in the back of a convertible and eats Christian Slater.
He's just there. Yep. And then he looks like normal Tom Cruise. Okay. And I'm like, this is
here's the thing.
Tom Cruise.
That plot sounded like a bad movie. But it was a good movie.
It is a good movie.
So let's just talk about it and forget the plot, because it's too long to deal with the plot. All you need to know is Brad Pitt's telling his life story. I don't know why he's doing that. I don't understand it, and there's a lot of things I want to talk to you about with his moral conundrums that I was like, these could be easily solved, but I don't know why you're doing it, but I want to talk about it.
Well, my personal conundrum, the first one I had was how, like, because Christian Slater's just in an apartment, and he's like, hey there, it's Brad Pitt he's talking to. Louis or Louis?
I thought it was Louis.
Right, okay. Sure. Where he's just like, hey, I just want to interview you. And then Brad Pitt's like, why? And I was like, yeah, why? Why, Christian, why? And he's like, you just seem interesting. And I'm like, but how'd you meet? What are we doing? Do you work for a magazine? Are you a podcaster? Are you going to moderate The Simpsons again? Because I can't, Christian, okay? I can't deal with it.
Honestly, I love Christian Slater.
I mean, I do too, but I was just like, I don't know how we got here. So I would imagine in the book that's explained more. But like 2 minutes in, Brad Pitt flips on a light, and then Christian's like, you look unwell. And he goes, I'm a vampire.
He doesn't...
Like, immediately.
Just is.
It's like line 2. He's like, I'm a vampire.
Okay,
I was like, well, thanks for getting that out of the way. Damn.
So what they did from the makeup artist... So first of all, we're talking Stan Winston.
Stan Winston! Woo! Yeah.
Freaking love you. Stan Winston, you crushed the 90s.
Yeah.
Any vampire in the film had to hang upside down, so all of, like, the blood kind of, like, rushes to their face, so the makeup artists could, like, outline the veins. So then when they were, like, back to looking normal, they could, like, that's how they could, like, get the makeup to look so...
They had the blue veins, like, you could see them, and you're like, that's not...
And bright, light contact eyes, and fabulous hair. I mean, L'Oreal
needs to get in here.
Oh,
okay?
Yeah.
Because Brad Pitt, wow.
Yeah. But it just, I don't know, like, they kind of all looked hot. I mean, there's like a lot of like, this is like a lot of sexy undertones because everything is dark. Everybody is wearing no clothes.
It's a lot of like mouths open and like breathing
bleeding,
against skin
and you're and like, you know, it's like instead of a hickey on the neck, I'm actually murdering you, but it just kind of looks like everyone's making out the whole movie.
Yeah.
And they're all like, as they're getting murdered, but it kind of just sounds like they're having sex. Because that's half the time of how they get them alone. Which, I gotta tell you, if you show up to your Tinder date and the person's looking a little ghosty and they won't meet you up for morning coffee,
if their veins are protruding,
you should turn around. And all of these people, I think at one point Tom Cruise goes, it's so easy to murder them, you almost feel bad for them. And I was like, kind of. Like, nobody fought these dudes back. Okay, you know?
Yeah, and like when Brad Pitt's like, I lived in New Orleans. I was a sad boy man, and I just wanted to die, but nobody would kill me. And then Tom Cruise rolls up and is like, I'll kill you, but not. Let's make out a little. And I was like, okay, yeah. And they hang out in New Orleans for like, it felt like a long time. And I was like, nobody's gonna investigate all the bite mark murders. Like, get Fox Mulder and Dana Scully up in here. They'll solve this real quick.
They were never nervous to be caught. The only people who actually fought back were the slaves. Which I thought, really? We're going to make the slaves literally do all the work? And finally, that's what, like, kicked them out. And by the way, they were right. They needed those vampires gone, or all of them would have been dead.
Yes.
I mean, they were right. And then even Brad Pitt was like, this house is possessed! And he burned it all down, and they were like, yeah! They were like, good way to go, master. He's like, you're all free. And they were like, that's right, sir. Thank you.
Wait, that pissed me off, though. I was like, why can't the slaves live in the nice house? Why do we have to ruin the property?
I mean...
Just, like, leave it.
I feel like it kind of would not be a place I'd want to live, but...
Fine.
Okay, but here's the thing.
Okay.
This is the stuff I want to ask you about. Brad Pitt's whole thing is like, I'm an evil vampire, but somehow I still have like a mortal soul that's like soft and sensitive. And so all of these vampires want to bone Brad Pitt.
Definitely.
Okay? But all Brad Pitt wants to do is die and feels bad for existing. But he knows how to kill himself, but he never does it. And I understand that's not great because we don't want to promote that. However, it's pretty simple because if you eat someone and then you start to hear their heart die, you're supposed to not keep doing it because if you drink dead blood, then you die. So literally, Brad Pitt could have solved his moral conundrum like at least 100 years ago. Never does it.
No, maybe he's like
what?
He's a little scaredy boy.
I mean, I guess he was, but I kind of was like, you're giving off victim. I understand, but I'm a little over this.
I also felt like with him, he does such a thing when he's describing, like when he becomes a vampire, he's like, and that was the last sunset I saw, or I thought I would see. And you're like, okay, like I felt like he was a little bit of a drama queen, even before he became a dramatic vampire. And I was like, just get a Twitter thread, you know, like get a Twitter account, tweet your feelings. Other people will validate you. It's an echo chamber, and like it's all fine. Because when he becomes a vampire, I mean, there are like some cool things happening. Like the what is it? The vampires can see things that people can't see, like statues blinking.
We definitely did not explore that enough.
Why is that a vampire? Like, power? What benefit do I have of seeing statues, like, look at me weird?
Also, why aren't vampires in the Olympics? They run fast as hell.
Well, they were all too busy doing their acting troupe.
Oh, but they can't hang out Paris. At night. Oh, they can't hang out in the day.
They can't hang out during the day.
That would not track meets or not at night. Okay.
No, they're not. And, you know, Christian Slater does take a pause at this part, and he's like, wait, let me get this straight. He's like, let me ask you, because there's all this stuff about vampires, all the lore, the garlic, the crucifixes, and he was like, most of that's just made up, except the sunlight.
Yeah.
And I guess burning, like if you're burning a fire, you're dead, and lots of other things were true. And we have to sleep in coffins. And I was like, so most of it's true? What do you mean?
When Brad Pitt burns it all down, he just starts slicing heads, and that seems to kill them too. Where when Kirsten Dunst tried to slice Tom Cruise, his wounds healed immediately. So I'm like, wait, won't their heads connect back? Or is this not how far it goes?
I don't know. It reminded me of Twilight. And then I was like, no!
Well, and then
not
also,
the vampire Twilight.
They're like, some of them could read your thoughts. I'm like, so none of them knew that you were coming to, like, murder all of them? You know?
It wasn't
it wasn't like a good vampire fight back. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like, yeah. And then I also thought, and this is from what you would do in the shadows, is like none of them are like having sex.
Yeah, I didn't.
And
get
I thought, like, why? All we did was see women's naked bodies.
Yeah, a lot of boobs.
Meanwhile, we have two clearly gay men.
Yeah,
and we never see them touch each other. Brokeback Mountain came out when? Because this was the original Brokeback Mountain.
Brokeback Mountain was in the 2000s, and so there is a TV show of
2005,
The Vampire.
Yeah.
So I think the TV show is, from what I've heard, somebody can correct me, but I do believe they are delving a little more into like sexy time.
Yeah.
Everyone have sex with everyone. We don't care about gender type circumstances. And I'm like, that's cool. Like, why let them bone? I mean, listen, I'm always on the pedestal. If it's consensual and safe and legal, let them bone. Marvel characters, let them bone. All right? That's my campaign slogan. Let them bone.
I'd vote for you.
Vote for Katie.
Here's the thing, though. What I didn't like was the Kirsten Dunst relationship. Because I thought, wait, is her brain like an old lady, but her body's a kid, but we like kiss her, but she's like a daughter, but like it's weird, right? And then I thought, is this the Hollywood shit? Like, you're all drinking each other's bloods. That's how your skin looks so good. Tom Cruise is indoctrinating all of you, okay?
Yeah.
And he's like he's clearly the father of lies / the father of vampires.
Father of lies!
Brad Pitt's like hot and just happens to be there. And now you have Kirsten Dunst that they're like, you will be knighted. You're also a vampire, but also because you're a child, we're going to like screw you up for the rest of your life. Welcome to Hollywood. You know? Do you think that's what it was really happening?
Yes. Exactly like that.
Okay. Oh, wait. Fun fact too. Tom Cruise complained about Brad Pitt having like terrible hygiene and smelling bad.
Oh, damn!
Which I think is really funny.
That's so random.
Yeah. But
I wouldn't think that of Brad Pitt, but...
Well, because Tom Cruise is kind of mad because Brad Pitt's like a lot taller than him, so Tom Cruise had to like stand on boxes.
Well...
Because they had so many like scenes talking to each other.
I was gonna say, and there's a lot of times where he's like sitting down too, and I'm like, I know why you're doing that, Tom. Short men. Okay, so there is a scene... It's right before the Kirsten Dunst. I do just want to bring it up because there were many moments where you're like, oh, Lestat is a jerk. But this was definitely a big jerk moment where they definitely have a prostitute. I felt he bit off this lady's nipple.
Yeah.
Question mark.
And she, like, didn't realize she was in pain until she looked at her blood. Confusing.
Why couldn't... I did have questions about that. And I was like, is there a nipple? Where's your nipple? But he was doing that because he kept being a bad friend / boyfriend / partner or whatever the fuck we want to call it to Brad Pitt, where he was like, come on, kill the human or make him a vampire. Who the fuck cares? But you gotta decide. And then Brad's like, no, my life is terrible. And you're like, what? And then they just kill the lady anyway.
Horrible.
Because Lestat's like, I guess I'll just kill her. And I was like, this is a lot. But then right after is when you get Kirsten Dunst, which you're kind of like, okay, we're already like pushing the envelope with, do we kill because we need to survive, but killing's bad, but also like, do we make a vampire? But Brad Pitt's like, fuck the vampires. I'm like an emo vampire. And you're like, whoa.
He is an emo vampire.
He's definitely an emo vampire. Like, you give him a guitar and some eyeliner, he'll be at the next Warped Tour.
Well, tonight will be the night that I will have sex with Tom Cruise. You know, I feel like
definitely will.
The I don't know, like a part of me was like the vampire code was you really shouldn't try to make anyone else a vampire.
Yeah.
And that's why there isn't a lot of us, because we all know that deep down this is awful. But most of the vampires don't feel things, so they wouldn't, even the ones that are super evil aren't going around trying to make other vampires because they don't care enough. But Brad Pitt was like the only one struggling with all of this. And at a point in time, I kept being like, Tom Cruise, you gotta find a new boo. Like, move on. He's not interested. And so when he killed Kirsten Dunst, and then Tom Cruise shows up, and he's like, ha ha ha, finally you've killed.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I kind of thought, oh my God, I'm on Brad Pitt's side now. You are annoying as hell. Also, before I forget, to prepare for the role, Tom Cruise watched multiple hours of film of lions killing gazelles. To prepare.
I feel we probably could have watched The Lion King once and got the gist. I don't know why we needed hours of that.
He wanted to like know how to, because he was like a pretty scary mofo.
I mean, he was, but like, okay.
I don't know, you know?
Oh God, Tom Cruise.
A lot.
Well, Bridge, here's the thing. When you see Kirsten Dunst, if you're a, I don't know, person like me, your first thought is, oh no, little girl.
Yeah.
Creepy men.
Yep. Hated it.
It's not going great. But they do pretty quickly. I don't know which of them says it. I guess it's Brad Pitt because he's kind of like the narrator, where he's like, we raised her like our child.
Yeah.
And it was like, you know, father, daughter. And I was like, okay, I'm still watching you though. Okay. Because I don't know. You guys do weird stuff and I'm nervous. But it was more to be like, she's basically like a living doll. And then Tom Cruise's character was the one that's like, let's dress her up. Whee! And I was like, you would be the one to like care about the fashion.
Again, Tom Cruise, when the documentary comes out and all the footage explodes because of one whistleblower and the NDAs are up. It's up, buddy. I'm gonna go back to this movie. We'll have a whole podcast episode about it. It was though funny. If I take out all the grossness, it was funny that she was such like a ruthless killer from literal like turn into vampire, because she even like anytime she'd see anyone, she's like, I want to murder them, or she like hid a corpse in her bed, and or she kept like the piano teacher was mean to her, so she just killed him. Like,
I did love
so
that,
fucking
though.
Funny.
I was like, that's straight out of What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh
like,
my God.
It's like, oh, that person corrected my piano playing time. And then Tom Cruise just walks over like, oh, gosh, you did it again. Scooch over, I'll play. And I was like, what the fuck?
The dress, someone was making her dress, and she killed the dressmaker, and he goes,
oh, yeah.
Who's gonna finish this dress now? I thought, oh my God, this is great.
It was so real.
That was pretty funny, though.
I did like that part, but then, like, it gets sad pretty quickly after, because this is where we see, take a sip, everyone, another naked lady.
Oh my God.
For no reason. In a window.
I just feel like they couldn't admit this was like a gay story, and so they're like, naked lady. Oh,
boobs!
Oh, of course it's boobs. Oh, let's
look at the
bite
boobs.
a boob. Oh, don't look at us. We're not gay. I'm like, we all know you're gay. And It's literally one of the best things about you that you've been hiding, because everything else sucks, guys. Let's go.
Yeah. But the Kirsten Dunst sees this lady, and they're like, "Oh, you want to kill that lady?" And she's like, "No, I want to be her." Which to me, I was like, "All right." I'm assuming Kirsten Dunst's character is supposed to be like
12?
I don't know, 11, 12. Yeah, like pre-puberty-ish something. And so I was like, oh, are these like gay co-parenting fathers about to talk to their preteen child about puberty? They fucking ain't.
Nope.
Okay, these bitches are not gonna do that. They instead are just like, don't ever ask that question again. If you're gonna grow up, how dare you? And then she has a bitch fit. Like she's gonna have a bitch fit. She has a bitch fit.
Well, and it's fair enough, because
it's a fair bitch fit. That's
I would be so pissed if I was like, wait, I'm stuck as a little girl forever and y'all did this to me?
Yeah. She tries to cut her hair and then it grows back and she's like, "Rah!" Like,
and she is kind of dressed like a doll all the time. Yeah. And when the world changes, how embarrassing. Can you imagine if you were to keep your haircut from when you were 12? Can you imagine?
No.
Or the bowl cut? It would just be bowl cuts everywhere.
I mean, that does happen to Maya in Pen 15, but I love it in that. Yeah, it's not a good time. And Tom Cruise is like a dick about it, because he's like, yeah, it's all Brad Pitt's fault. And it's like, well, that's not entirely true, whatever. And then Brad Pitt's like, hey, I'm going to try to be a dad, but I suck at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to stay this age forever. I don't know what else to tell you. It sucks. I'm sad too. We could write a song about it later. And Tom Cruise is crazy. So just like careful. And then this is where she's like, well, I'm going to kill Tom Cruise.
Yo,
and
this
I'm like,
was
okay.
a crazy killing.
I didn't really understand what was happening at first until she did like the villain monologue and it was like, oh, I actually had you drink the blood. They have a dead person, but they didn't seem like they were dead because something chemicals, and now you're dead. And I was like, huh? But then I got it.
It was like a type of drug that keeps a body warm.
Yeah.
So it felt like they were alive. But I thought, that's quite intricate. And where did you get this drug? And the high stakes.
The heist.
The heist, okay?
Yeah. Ocean's 11. That's right.
But then, this is like so bizarre to me, because then Tom Cruise is dead, so he gets thrown in a swamp, but then when an alligator eats him, he drinks the blood of an alligator, and he survives off swamp animals to then come back to life, so you could be dead as a vampire, but then you get blood so you can come back to life?
Wait, is that what happened?
That's what he said. So he kept drinking the blood of alligators to come back to life.
I kept wondering if, I was like, what happens if an alligator eats a vampire? Does the alligator become a vampire? But, you know,
those are crazy teeth. Can you imagine vampire teeth like, on an alligator?
It's just like biting your head off at that point.
Right.
Yeah, it didn't go that direction. I mean, he's fucking scary when he comes back, because he looks like a zombie. And I was like, whoa, this is not the Tom Cruise we know, because Tom Cruise we know is definitely getting blood from somewhere. Am I right?
Well, and then he like weirdly gave up on like murdering people when he came back, because then Brad Pitt finds him hundreds of years later. Who knows what the timeline is. Yes. And he's just like living in a cemetery eating rats. And I thought, is this supposed to be poetry? I'm confused. Why can't he just like be out and about?
I thought it was like a vanity thing where he was like, I'm ugly. No one's gonna like let me get close to them. And I was like, probably. You look scary. You know, why would anyone? Whereas before he's like, I'm a hot guy. Let's make out. And the ladies are like, wee. And then he just murder everyone. You're like,
got it.
I did also think it was funny how Brad Pitt's like, yeah, anyway, so we left him burning. Might have burned an entire village down, but it's fine because we got on a boat. We went to all these different countries trying to find some vampires. And Kirsten Dunst is a scholar and bitch is reading books. She's literate, okay? Like, don't mess with her. And she's just trying to understand lore. And I was like, that's correct, Kristen. But then they all just go to Paris. And that's where they find the vampires, which we had been told earlier in the movie. That's where Tom Cruise became a vampire, was in Paris. And he's like, ugh, I don't want to go to Paris again. And I was like, is it because everybody's like theater kids? And that's a lot of personality? Because I get that. That's too much. Okay. And vampire, they're never going to die? Jesus Christ. No, thank you.
I don't know. It was like weird meeting the other vampires. Like, I think he was like, he had this back and forth on like, I guess Tom Cruise isn't so bad.
Yeah, because he was like, well, I guess Tom Cruise didn't put on a weird play nightly where we murder someone on stage. Like, that's too much. But also, Like, what do you mean? I also had questions. Why were there like 800 vampires here? But then their code is like, let's not make more vampires.
I know.
Who made you guys?
I think it was that one creeper. That like Santiago
the one who
character.
I don't like him.
That was like Antonio Banderas' right hand man. He was creepy.
I hated him.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
And yeah, like women getting like it's like a snuff film on stage in Paris, and everyone's like, "Yay!"
Well, and like, why did the woman have to get naked?
She just really didn't.
I was like, this is so something about Mary. Like, why do we have to just see? I mean, they were just literally going to drink her blood. She doesn't have to be naked for that.
I guess.
So yeah, it was very like an erotic film. Like, if you really think about it, in 1994, I was like, this is all at night. It's just like hot people coming back to make out and have sex and then just getting killed. And okay, wow. All right.
And Antonio Banderas is there too.
With
and
sexy long hair.
The wig is out of control, Bridge.
I loved it. Val Kilmer and him. I was like,
I fucking knew you would.
But also, Antonio Banderas is hot. Like, he's got hot. Such a, like...
He's a good-looking man.
And he has such an energy that's, like, extremely coded as, I am the most confident person in this room.
Yeah.
Not trying ever. And him and Brad Pitt on the screen together, you're like, wow, so now Tom Cruise to Brad Pitt to Antonio Banderas. This must actually be what's happening in Hollywood. Like, I bet they all dating and switched.
They're all in a thruple. Yeah.
They're absolutely all in a thruple.
So you thought Antonio Banderas was like, Rouge, hey, Brad Pitt.
Feel like...
Because Antonio Banderas was definitely, like, not the same personality as, like, the other theater vampires. Like, he's like, this is a paycheck, you know? They like the drama. I just walk on stage for 1 minute and then I leave.
He was intrigued. I think it was... Okay. We never know if any of them have sex because they never show that it's 1994. But, I think they wanted companionship. And he had this whole monologue about, like, you fascinate me because you still have, like, this weird soul conundrum of killing people and no one is, like, we're all dead inside and somehow you're not. And, like, how did that happen? And I want to be around you. So I did take it as, like, I want to be around you for hundreds of years. That feels not like a bestie. That feels like I love you.
I did swipe right on Tinder. Yeah.
You definitely did. Wow.
Well, and this is where he does say a little bit of like, yeah, you know, like vampires really shouldn't kill other vampires. Like, that's not good. And, you know, don't do that. And don't make more vampires. And then Kirsten Dunst goes and makes a lady vampire. She like finds a lady that she's like, here's a lady. This is who I'm gonna turn into one now. And I was like, why?
Honestly, Kirsten Dunst was like such a baddie character because not only does she come in and is like, we gotta get rid of Tom Cruise, handled, okay? Yeah. Now she's like, listen, Brad Pitt, well, you're a mopey McMopester, okay? Antonio Banderas is coming for you, which means they're coming for me because they know that I killed Tom Cruise, and so they're coming for me. So do me a favor. I need another vampire. Oh, she needed like be my mom.
Yeah, she needed like an adult, like a cover adult vampire.
Exactly.
Oh yeah,
she's like, I'll still run the show, but then we're gonna flee. And fine, you leave, and I'm pissed at you. But you know what? Fuck you anyways because you made me a vampire. And
he's
so
not the father of lies.
I thought, wow, she's really like putting in the work. You know, the intellectual in the room was Kirsten Dunst.
She read books, people. It's the lesson, but you need to take away.
But what a tragic ending.
Okay,
Yikes.
yeah, because like literally the lady, she's like, oh no, the lady's like dying. And he's like, no, she's turning into a vampire. It's all fine. And then it's like, everything's done. And then the fucking theater kids bust in, giggling like psychopaths. Also, how some theater kids are sometimes. I've been to a cast party. All right, be careful.
Not. Wow.
And yeah, they basically take Kirsten Dunst, the new vampire lady, go to their castle, something. Kirsten Dunst and the vampire lady get put in like a little hole in the castle, and then the sun comes, and you can't hide from the sun in there, and that's how they're gonna die.
But can't they fly? and like climb walls. And I thought, why couldn't they climb to the top and use their super like vampire strength to like bust out the top?
I don't know.
Okay. And that whole bat thing, we ignored the whole turn into a bat thing.
Nobody was a bat, but some of them could jump really high and fly around. And and then Brad Pitt gets put in a coffin and put in a wall.
Yeah, but then Antonio Banderas comes in and saves him.
Well, I thought that Antonio Banderas was like the leader of the theater kids, like, and then I was like, oh, you're not? Or you are? Were you like in the bathroom when they did that?
Or was he pretending to be the leader and then he's like, JK, I'm outie because I know that you'll come back and murder them all?
There was like a line that Brad Pitt says because basically Antonio saves Brad. Brad tries to go save Kristen. She's already a fucking dusty skeleton. Bye, she dead. And he's like, wham, sad. And then he's like, I'm gonna murder all of the other vampires. And he does. And it is like Kill Bill, like you said. But then afterwards, Antonio's like, I knew you'd murder them, but I didn't tell him because we're buddies. And then Brad Pitt was like, that's sketchy. Like this actually reminded me of like Survivor, like a conversation that would happen on the hit reality TV show Survivor, listeners, where it was like, well, you were dishonest to someone else, even though it benefited me. But how can I trust you if you were so comfortable being dishonest with someone else that thought they could trust you? And where's the trust? And I was like, it's true, Brad. Jeff would agree with you.
That's
Jeff
not
Probst.
a way to start a relationship.
No,
100-year relationship.
Not good. Yeah.
Because, we know the whole time with this whole movie, I got so, like, roped in like a frickin' doom scroll vibe that I kept thinking, wait a second, Bridget, he's still talking to Christian Slater. Brad Pitt's gonna make it out alive, and everything's gonna be fine. But also, I guess we just dropped Antonio Banderas at some point. We're like, bye, I'm out.
I think that's when he was like, I don't want to be in your, I don't want to date you. Like, never mind. I'm gonna like say bye-bye. And then Antonio was like, well, now I don't have any vampires. And then I was like, okay, bye. And then this is where Brad Pitt he's like, and anyway, I went back to America. And by that point, movies became a thing. And that was the next time in my life I was able to see a sunset and not die. And that's cool. And I was like, yeah, movies are magic. And I don't know. I mean, he was just like, yep. And then I just lived in New Orleans. Oh, and then that's where Tom Cruise is hanging out in a cemetery in New Orleans by himself. And he's also a sad boy. He's also become emo sad boy now. Everybody's sad.
Because he's ugly. But then how does he get hot at the end of the film?
Because he ate a human. And he wasn't eating humans before that. Although he probably could have, you know.
Right?
Yeah.
Could you just attack someone in an alley?
I think he's just a drama queen. They're all drama queens.
Exhausting.
Yeah, honestly. And put him on Andy Cohen, okay? Because
that would be the greatest. Because like someone would get mad and then murder someone, you know? That would be
Andy'd
great.
be like, we'll be right back after the fire gets put out. Tom Cruise is in the swamp again. Woo! Oh my god.
Okay, so the ending where he murders Christian Slater was the thought that like Brad Pitt set it up?
I don't know. I thought about that.
Or like, why is he telling his story for someone that would be murdered? Or was Tom Cruise like, I gotta clean up Brad shit's emo stuff again, and then go murder this guy because once these tapes come out, everyone's gonna know about me, and I don't want that.
I mean, Tom Cruise does say a line where he's like, I've had to listen to him talk like that for years. And I was like, you kids are so silly.
I mean, he did have some funny, like, Tom Cruise works when he's being funny.
Yeah, he was pretty funny.
He was pretty funny, but he's also Tom Cruise, so it's like, oh, yeah.
I mean, it was definitely like, it felt like sequel bait, but then I don't know if there was like, if there's more books of this.
I don't think so.
Because I feel like you only hear about this book. Anne Rice. It's Anne Rice's book, guys. Don't forget. I don't know. But there is a series on AMC, and I don't know. Maybe I'll watch it now, because I'm pretty sure they get a little handsy.
Wow.
Men to men, Roush, you know?
Roush.
Yeah.
Kate, watch it or don't watch it.
I mean, I would watch it. It's not like a horror movie. It has plots, but it makes you think, you know? Because I did think to myself, I was like, wow, I wonder, like, if I was forced to be a vampire, because this is also like, I hate to reference it again, but like this really was part of the plot of Twilight.
Okay.
Where they don't eat humans because they're like, we're nice vampires. We'll drink the blood of animals. And they call themselves like vegetarians. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I'd like to think I would do that. I would also feel sad like murdering animals all the time though. So I don't know. Maybe we all would just be sad boys if we're not a murderous personality, you know?
Well, I kind of thought, couldn't you get creative and like hang out at hospitals? Do you know what I mean?
Or like murder like terrible people, like turn into the vampire Robin Hood, where you're like, oh, that's an evil billionaire who's ruining lives.
Someone might be getting, into a position of power they shouldn't. And I got this.
Let me just bust in,
Yeah, because then I thought, like, couldn't you just like hang near a morgue? You know, like, I don't know. I just kept thinking, like, can't you get strategic? No,
but you can't drink the dead blood.
That's right. That's right. They got to be alive.
They got to be alive.
I would have died immediately as a vampire. Wow. Well.
All right.
Check it out. I think everyone should watch this for Halloween because it's like not as spooky as it is like weird. I just feel like this is how Hollywood is. I think that's how it is. I'm just saying it.
Definitely is. Hollywood vampires, this is just their origin story.
I think so.
Like they just laid it out for us and we're all like, silly movie.
No, for real. I think they're just telling us to our faces how it works and we're both just like, okay, good job, guys.
Brad Pitt's like, no, really, guys, this is like actually, that was actually my life story.
He's like, I literally got bit by Tom Cruise and I'm fucked, and that's why I'm here, and I hate all of you.
I'm stuck here.
And I won't shower because I just can't.
No. Oh my God, there's no showering. It kills me. Okay, Bridge, I have our next pick. Listen, it's been a whole month of spoopy, but not scary, and we're gonna go a little scary. A little. I guarantee I would be shocked.
I'm ready.
I'd be shocked if you see. I would actually be shocked if you've seen this movie because it's a little like cult movie, but I think it's very in season.
Okay.
And this is technically the third movie in a franchise. And we did the first movie. We're going to skip the second and I'll explain why. And even though this is the third movie of a franchise, the main iconic killer of the franchise is not in this movie. It just uses the name and then had a totally different plot and characters, and they were going to try to make it like an anthology, which means like there's different stories every time. And then people were mad the killer wasn't in this movie, and then all the other movies they made, they're like, never mind, there's the killer. I don't think that helps you at all. So
I have no idea what's happening.
I'm going to read you the one sentence because I know there's some listeners listening who are like, kids all over America want silver shamrock masks for Halloween. Dr. Daniel Chalice seeks to uncover a plot by silver shamrock owner Connell Cochran.
Is this the scary leprechaun movie?
No, it's not. You would think though, because silver shamrocks. Bridge, we're watching Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
Oh, no.
There is no Michael Myers. He's not in this at all.
Oh, no, but this seems scary, Katie.
Well, I will be a little spoiler alert. There may be some kids might not make it out. We'll see. But it's basically about, there's like Halloween masks and like, they're kind of bad. And it's Halloween, so...
okay, but no Michael Myers.
No Michael Myers.
Because he was scary as hell.
Yeah, no, he's not in this.
Okay. Okay, my heart is... I'm pulsating. This seems scary. Yeah. Okay.
No, I think you'll appreciate...
Okay.
...the plot. Yeah, so that's what... And this movie, it doesn't... It has a 5.2 out of 10 on IMDb. However... As I mentioned, there were a lot of people who were butthurt because they thought it was going to be a different movie. And so I think at the time it like got rated not great because of that. But then as time went on, people were like, oh no, this is like a good like standalone movie. And this movie, I would argue, has really scary AI. There's like kind of subplot with that. Where it's like AI sucks and it's going to kill us all. And you're like, yeah, it is.
Oh no.
I know.
Okay, I'm afraid, But that's what Halloween's about, right?
But it's very spoopy, so you'll be okay.
Okay.
Well,
okay.
Bridge.
Okay.
Bridge. Just want to say. If we were, oh my God, if we were vampires somehow, Tom Cruise played a joke on us and it was not funny. I would go find Kirsten Dunst and be like, listen up, you're part of the gang. Okay, we're gonna kill Tom Cruise. We want you to plan it because you're good at that, little 12-year-old. And, and then we're just gonna like live normal lives. We don't need to be crazy. I think if we get rid of Tom Cruise, things will be all right. And I'd do that for you to make sure we, don't have to deal with him.
Love it.
We could do interviews too. We could get on all the podcasts, do multiple interviews with the vampires, which is us.
Wow. For me?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
Bridge.
If you were presented with a group of theater kids.
No.
That just looked a little pasty.
Oh.
And they wanted you to come on and play drums or cymbals or whatever.
Don't like it. Nope.
I would immediately open the curtains, try them all, and just test out who is and isn't a vampire to keep you safe, okay? I do that for you.
Okay.
I'd say, okay, now you could do this show, okay? Okay.
I do eat a lot of garlic naturally in my life, and I'd like to think one day it'll save me from a vampire, so...
I love that.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, and listeners, if you also would, just leave not a good review of that vampire theater show. I mean, yes. I can't imagine it smells good in there after all that. So if you do that, and if you think that, Kirsten Dunst, wow,
she was great.
She was great. Maybe she needs to be the leader of the vampires, and maybe a sequel could be she comes back as a dusty skeleton with an alligator somehow and kills Tom Cruise again, that could be fun.
I'm here for Kristen Dunst having a solo vampire movie.
Yeah, that would be cool.
That would be really freaking cool, wouldn't it?
Yes, I could see that being awesome. And if you think that Hollywood is full of vampires and they literally told us their story and we're all just giggling tee-hee and crediting Anne Rice so nobody sues anyone, but it's actually the truth.
It's the truth.
It's real. If you think all that, you should write us a review.
Woo!
We love reviews. We love written reviews. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts along with some other podcasting apps. And we also have a website, sisterswhoseenit.com. On our website, you can request a movie. So there is a form you can fill out. Your request goes on the list. And we look at the list every now and then. And we'll do it eventually. Moving out of spoopy month. Okay, but you can leave any spoops you want. I love spoops.
Okay.
Okay, but leave whatever you'd like. And Bridge, what else can they do on our website?
Give us money.
Boop.
Which is what we need if we want to fight these vampires and create Kirsten Dunst's movie.
Yeah.
Also, buy our merchandise. Holidays are around the corner. I don't know what you're doing. You gotta get on it.
Yeah.
Your besties that you talk about this with and laugh about, that's exactly where you should be going. You should be getting on top of that, okay?
Yeah.
And that's for the Type A planners, okay?
Okay. Yes, so check all that out, listeners, and we hope to hear from you. All right. Well, we'll see y'all next week for Halloween 3 in Roman numerals, Season of the Witch. There is a spelling test, yes.
Okay.
Yep, and 2 more weeks till Halloween. 2 more weeks till Halloween. Silver Shamrocks. That's
Is
the
this
song
the
they
last
sing.
one before spooky season's over?
Yes.
Okay, so I can do it. Listeners, we'll see you next time. It's the last one. Let's do it.
I love you.
I love you.
I love you.
I love you, vampire. Bye-bye.
I'll interview you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Sisters Who've Seen It. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out our website at sisterswhoseenit.com, where you can email us, request movies to be reviewed, and keep up to date with all things sisters. Also, make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. See you next week.